Valkyrie burst onto the Apex Legends scene back in Season 9, and 3 seasons later, she is still the undisputed Queen of Movement. What's up, you guys? I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre. And today we've got a guide that's going to give you the lowdown on how to make use of Valkyrie and her powerful abilities. Valk has a stack of passive abilities. She can hack into survey beacons like every recon legend. She can ping enemies whenever she's in a skydive, but the core of her movement capability comes from the VTOL jets that are strapped on her back. So we're going to start with that. First off, before we even load into a game, we're going to want to go to the settings, and under the gameplay tab, you're going to want to look for the jetpack controls option and switch that from toggle to hold. This will allow you to make use of her movement capabilities with half as many button presses and take advantage of some of the more complex possibilities of her movements we're going to talk about in just a moment. Now, the VTOL jets are arguably the most versatile movement ability in the entire game, and they have an almost unlimited amount of applications, but there's two main ways you make use of them, with long activations and with short activations. A long burst will give you a lot of height, allowing you to quickly climb into areas you might not be able to even reach, as well as approach fights against enemies on the high ground from directions that they wouldn't normally expect to. However, it must be noted that the long bursts of the jets are relatively slow and can make you an easy target, especially if you're flying out in the open. A short burst, however, gives you a decent speed boost, allowing you to cover a great deal of horizontal distance as opposed to vertical distance. This can be used in a variety of ways: closing the gap against your enemies, escaping a potentially bad situation, crossing some open ground in order to get to a piece of cover, or just generally moving in unpredictable ways during a firefight. This is especially apparent when playing around buildings with multiple stories like the ones around Oasis, where you can go quickly from the ground floor to the top floor and all the way back down faster than almost any other legend. And this can seriously confuse enemies who aren't paying close enough attention. Notably, the jetpack can actually send you in any direction, not just the one you're looking at. So this can send you strafing in midair from side to side, making you a more difficult target to hit, as well as sending you directly backwards, allowing you to keep your eyes focused on your enemy even while you're making a rapid retreat. Though you must be warned that using short bursts will use the fuel of your jetpack much faster than using long bursts, because each individual burst starts by using a hefty chunk of the fuel that's in your tank. It's very important to keep a close eye on your fuel gauge to make sure you're not running out of gas at the worst possible times. Let's move on to Valkyrie's tactical ability, the Missile Swarm. This is quite possibly the deadliest tactical ability in the entire game. When activated, you launch a set of missiles in a rectangular pattern at your enemies, with the first impact dealing 25 damage and each subsequent impact dealing another 3 damage, all while stunning your enemies, sort of like if they were hit by an arc star. These missiles are extremely useful for flushing out enemies who are hiding behind small pieces of cover, or dealing that last bit of damage to enemies who are on low health. However, there is a vertical clearance requirement in order to fire these missiles, so you gotta make sure you're not hiding under some low ceilings when you want to fire them off. You can launch these missiles at targets up to 100 meters away, but the enemies will be alerted to the incoming danger by target markers all over the ground. So if your enemies are at the far end of your potential firing range, you can use this ability to flush them out of their position, but it's unlikely you'll actually get any damage on them since they'll have a lot of time to react to the coming danger. Finally, we have Valk's ultimate, the Skyward Dive. This ability allows you to take your entire team up into the sky for a redeployment dive, just as if you had used one of the jump towers. This one ability by itself makes Valkyrie extremely useful to have on a team, especially in ranked games where positioning is king. It allows you to redeploy your entire team from practically anywhere on the map. Having an instant reposition at your disposal allows you to play towards the edge of the ring longer than any team that doesn't have a Valk. It can get your squad into a power position before anybody else gets there, or it can quickly take your team out of a sticky third-party situation into relative safety. In addition to this, Valk's passive ability to ping enemies while she's skydiving means you'll be able to get a quick assessment of where any enemies are on the map while you're flying across the battlefield. Even if you don't need to reposition, it might just be worth it to use the skyward dive by yourself in order to get a quick idea of where all the enemy teams are in your vicinity before flying back to your teammates. Obviously though, you're going to need some vertical clearance in order to pull off a skyward dive, so you need to be careful when you're pushing into dangerous situations, either inside buildings or around structures that might inhibit your ability to make a swift escape. Valkyrie is definitely a top tier choice for any team that's trying to gain some RP in ranked mode, and she's personally been my main this entire season. I invite you to join me and my crew for the ranked stream here on YouTube every Monday and Friday as we try to grind ourselves into Diamond and beyond. But in the meantime, I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre, and I'm out.